Marcus Hill grew up on the east side of Cleveland in a neighborhood where people didn't talk about tech startups or seed funding. They talked about rent over time and staying alive long enough to see your kids grow up. His mother worked double shifts at a nursing home and still made time to remind him he'd have to be twice as good to get half the credit. Marcus took that to heart. By 33, he was one of the few black founders in the Midwest tech scene, running a small but growing cybersecurity company in Detroit. His platform helped small businesses secure payments, detect fraud, and protect customer data, something essential but overlooked. Investors praised his intelligence, but you could hear the hesitation between their smiles. He didn't look like the founder they expected. He wasn't a hoodie-wearing prodigy from Palo Alto. He was a clean-cut black man from a working-class background, and some people saw that as a risk. Still, Marcus pushed his way in. Clients trusted him. Staff respected him. And he believed that if he just kept proving himself, the world would give him a fair shot. He would learn the hard way that proving himself wasn't enough. 3 years into the business, Marcus partnered with Ethan Cole. Ethan was everything investors viewed as safe. White, well-connected, smooth-talking, and comfortable in every boardroom. He spoke the language of venture capital, not because he earned it, but because he was born around it. When they first met, Ethan said, "You've got the product and the vision. I can take this to the next level." Marcus believed him. He let him in as an operations partner. He trusted him with access, authority, and opportunities Marcus had fought years to earn. That trust became the weapon. Over time, Marcus noticed discrepancies. Money moving strangely through company accounts, contract he hadn't approved, overhead costs increasing without explanation. Every time he asked Ethan about it, Ethan responded with that polished calmness, reserved for men who've never been doubted. "It's just growth logistics, bro. Let me handle the investors the way they expect." Marcus didn't like the tone, but he learned that pushing too hard made people accuse him of being defensive or difficult. So he bit his tongue, until one morning, he walked into the office and saw 3 federal agents waiting for him. They called his name like he was a criminal they'd been hunting. Before he could speak, they cuffed him in front of his employees. A white employee gasped and covered her mouth. Someone whispered, "I knew something was off about him." Nobody asked if he was okay. Nobody believed it was a mistake. By the time he made outside, news vans were already on the way. The headline that night didn't hesitate. Black tech CEO arrested for embezzling from his own company. They didn't say co-founder. They didn't say alleged. They didn't mention his accomplishments. They mentioned his mugshot and his skin tone. Ethan stood before cameras with practiced disappointment. He said things like, "I trusted Marcus," and "I had no idea he was capable of this." Reporters treated him like the grieving partner, the innocent witness. Investors pulled out within 48 hours. Employees wiped his name off company documents like he'd never existed. Strangers online called him another fraud, another statistic. They said things they never would have said if his name was Brett or Colin. They said things they'd been waiting to say about someone like him. Marcus sat in jail that night replaying the moment over and over. He knew he was innocent. But innocence didn't protect black men. It never had. His mother's words echoed in his mind. The world believes a lie before it considers your truth. When he was finally released on bail, his accounts were frozen. His home was at risk. His company was gone. He couldn't walk into a restaurant without people whispering. A reporter followed his car for 2 miles, hoping to get a photo of him looking angry. His lawyer, a black woman named Danielle, who'd seen the system chew up men like him, told him something he already knew. They were ready to believe it because it was you, not because it made sense. For weeks, it looked like the case was airtight. The financial records were traced to his credentials. Emails appeared with his signature. Transfers led from his accounts. Ethan had manufactured a perfect frame, with the help of the same silent bias that assumed Marcus was capable of theft the moment someone accused him. But not everyone abandoned him. A former junior accountant named Leah came forward. She said she left the company because she suspected Ethan was moving money improperly. But when she raised concerns, she was dismissed and sidelined. She didn't have proof back then, but she didn't delete everything either. Danielle hired forensic auditors. They dug into archived records, access logs, and server histories. That's where the cracks started to show. The transfers traced to Marcus were executed from Ethan's devices. Ethan had used his access to replicate Marcus's digital signature. Shell companies were linked to Ethan's relatives. Fake emails were created through backdated drafts. Everything had been carefully crafted to make Marcus the fall guy. Once the evidence surfaced, the tone shifted, but slowly. Prosecutors hesitated at first. Admitting they were wrong meant admitting they jumped at the easiest suspect, the black suspect, and the media that dragged him didn't rush to fix their mess. But when Ethan's cousin was subpoenaed, the truth unraveled. Ethan was arrested and charged with fraud, conspiracy, and falsifying corporate records. He still tried to play the victim, claiming Marcus set him up in return. But the evidence tore through every lie. The charges against Marcus were dropped, but the damage was done. His company was bankrupt. His name had been stained. People who once praised him never apologized for how quickly they turned on him. When Ethan was sentenced to 9 years in federal prison, Marcus didn't go to the hearing. He said, "A courtroom can't return what bias stole from me." He moved to Atlanta and rebuilt from the ground up, not with investors, not with partners who smiled too wide and spoke in code. This time, he owned every signature, every password, every contract. He started a fraud prevention firm designed to protect small businesses from internal betrayal, the kind most people never see coming, especially people who look like him. When someone asked him how he survived being betrayed by a man the world trusted more than him, Marcus said, "They didn't trust him. They trusted what he looked like, and they distrusted what I looked like. That's the difference." Years later, when people told his story, they left parts out. They mentioned betrayal, the comeback, the prison sentence, but skipped over the headlines that called him guilty before the evidence was even checked. But Marcus didn't need them to correct the record. He was too busy writing the rest of it himself. And this time, nobody else would hold the pen.